What would you do if I gave you $1,000 to invest in your real estate business? My name is Brendan Bartik with Brendan Bartik Real Estate Coaching, where our mission is to train the most elite real estate agents and coaches on earth. And in today's episode, I'm going to take you through some things that are going to probably make you a little upset, some things that are going to tick off a few people, and for some people, hopefully make you realize that this is just what I've learned over the last 20 years to sell over $1 billion of residential real estate that I've learned from going on countless listing presentations, buyer presentations, meeting with thousands and thousands of clients. And this is what I would spend $1,000 on out of everything I could look at and say, hey, look, and in fact, I did this. I wrote down everything because this question was asked me. They go, Brendan, what should I do if I have $1,000 to put into my real estate business? And I took a lot of thought to that because there's a lot of different things that you could do with that money, right? When we're looking at it, it's like, what would you do with that money if you had the $1,000? And I started writing down all of these ideas. And then the same three kept jumping out at me over and over and over again. And they're probably going to rub some people the wrong way. Let me be very honest with you right now. What I'm asking for in this particular subject is to make sure you have an open mind, that you look at this not from a place of, hey, this is how I was raised and this is how I feel, and Brendan's a douchebag and all that stuff. Have an open mind, and this is what I'm telling you from what I've experienced for years and selling a lot of real estate. All right, so let's talk about, if you had the money, what are some of your options, right? Like, what are some of those options? You have $1,000. What could you possibly do for it? Now, I asked this question in our private Facebook group, Brendan Bartik Real Estate Coaching Facebook group. I said, what would you do if I gave you $1,000? And here's what I heard back a couple of times. I heard, I would buy leads. Leads, right? They'd buy leads. And I was like, okay, so leads. I'll talk about that. Maybe not a bad idea, but it's not what I would spend my first $1,000 on or $1,000 on. The second thing that we heard quite a bit was direct mail marketing. So postcards, right? I would mail a bunch of postcards to an area. Okay, so postcards. Another one we heard quite a bit of was I would spend money on my client interactions. So it would be coffee, right? I was like, okay, like when we're looking at coffee with clients and we're going through this whole thing, people were telling me that they would do that. And then yet another one that I thought was very fascinating that kept coming up over and over again, whereas I would get a dialer, I would spend the money on that dialer, and I would start dialing and doing this thing. When I was like, okay, well, that's not necessarily $1,000, but that they would use a dialer to start doing some of these things. And then the last one, which I think is always a great idea, they would spend it on a coach, okay? But that's not what my three are that I'm going to give you today. Out of everything, I do think that obviously I am a real estate coach and I think coaching is massively important, but it's not what I would spend that $1,000 on. So think about it. What would you spend the $1,000 on? In the comments below, what would you spend that $1,000 on? What do you think? Okay? And I'm going to take you through some of the things that changed my life, my whole career, and understanding this at a very early age. So let's talk about it. All right. The first thing I would do, and remember, you just read that. Some people are already getting irritated by just those lines. Invest in how you look. Think about this. We are in a perception-based business. You are the business. Your image, basically, your look, right? Your headshot, your teeth. Don't take this the wrong way. I've met some people that in real estate that have really, really busted teeth. And yeah, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying that it does have an effect on your clients. You're in a people-serving business, right? How you dress, right? You don't need to wear a suit and this in every market. But in certain markets, when I first started selling, I had to borrow some money to go to TJ Maxx to buy one outfit, which I called my presentation outfit. I still remember it to this day, right? It was one of those shirts that comes in the plastic thing, and it was I think it was like Van Housen or whatever it was. It was the cheapest possible shirt I could buy that had a collar. You know, I had to check my measurements because I wasn't quite sure what I was. I then bought a tie, the best that I could, some slacks, and a sports coat to go with it. And I probably spent altogether $150 to $200 at the time on this outfit. Oh, and shoes. Shoes are very, very important. Now, I told you, you're already hating me because you're going, Brendan, people don't care. My mom told me that people care about me and who I am for what I am. Let me be very honest with you. People are judging you every single day on how you look in your appearance. Now, I know that there's an exception to the rule out there. You've got the tattooed faced agent. You've got agents that are really, really all over the place that have different types of looks. We're not talking about the exception. I'm telling you, explaining to you what I would do after 20 years and thousands of appointments with buyers and sellers and feedback that I've heard from endless clients, right? So I'll give you a story. One of the clients or listing appointments I went on, I was calling a lot of expired listings. The seller was meeting with 3 agents. So 3 agents. When I showed up, and I was the third, when I showed up, the agent was still already there. The second agent was already there. I knew this because they parked in the driveway, which is ridiculous. I never do that. And I explained that in our listing mastery course. Number 2, they had the realtor bumper sticker on their car, right? The R. And so unless I was like, this is an agent selling their own house, I put 2 and 2 together. I go, that person's not done with their appointment yet. So I waited, they come out, and this gentleman is wearing jeans, some loafers, and a polo shirt untucked, not even with like his company logo on it. I don't know, it was just a polo shirt. No offense, like I said, don't start getting irritated by what I'm saying until I explain to you where I'm coming from. Comes out and, says goodbye to the people, gets in his car and drives away. And, I was there early. I drive the neighborhood 30 minutes early looking for coming soon signs. I'm in front of the house 15 minutes prior. I'm going through my affirmations, visualizing them, signing the contract, laughing at all my jokes. So I'm there. I go up to the door and introduce myself. Go through my whole entire presentation that, we teach in our listing mastery course. And at the end, I go right into our very easy transition to close signature process. They sign, they're super happy. They're giving me the key for the lockbox. And I said, can I ask you a question? How did you happen to select the other 2 agents that you met with? Oh, well, they called us a lot. And this. And I said, it looks like there's only, because I could see from the table, there was only 1 set of presentation material there. She was like, oh, yeah. She goes, that was from the first gal. She was really, really nice, Brendan. Super nice, very bubbly. She had some pretty good presentation material. But you know what, Brendan? She just had all of these diamond thingies on her fingernails. Like they were like styled fingernails with diamonds and all these little things on them. She goes, let me just tell you, people can do whatever they want, right? She goes, I just found it really tacky. And then I go, okay. And then the second guy, she goes, yeah, Brendan, he didn't even have any listing presentation material. And then can you believe that he had the nerve to come to our home to earn our business wearing jeans and a polo shirt? And of course I said, and I'm in a suit with a tie, and again, the nicest that I could possibly be because I'm there for a job interview. I'm interviewing for the job of getting their home sold for the highest amount possible. And she goes, Brendan, honestly with you, of course, obviously your presentation was fantastic. And I'm not trying to be egotistical. This is what she said. She goes, but I still believe that if you're going to do business with someone, they should look and act a certain way. Not my words, her words. And this isn't the only incident or one client. In your mind, you close that door, people behind you, they're talking behind your back in 5 seconds. As soon as they close the door, they're like, oh, you'll hear from us. Don't call me, we'll call you. They close the door and then they go, can you believe that? That's the world, right? So my $1,000, the first thing I would do is I would invest in how I look, period. So I would take $250, invest in how I look. The second $250, I would invest in my presentation, my materials, my sample marketing, my pen, my notepad that I leave with them. All of this is covered in our listing mastery presentation, course that you can find at brendanbardick.com. But everything, the paper, the folder, the padfolio that I bring on listing or buyer appointments. Now, this isn't just listing appointments. This is buyer appointments as well. And I'm going to tell you a story here about a buyer appointment here in a second. I see people with padfolios that have coffee stains on them, that are brown leather, and they've got sweat stains from your hands because you're so freaking nervous when you're going on appointments. You put that down on the table and the people are going, oh, gross. Come on, use your brain here. Like everything is being judged and everything is being analyzed that fast. That's who we are as humans. If that wasn't the case, then everybody would be on social media with their shirts off, their bellies out, showing themselves in the worst types of way. Of course we're not, because the world has made it this way. I didn't set the rules. I just want you to have success and get the most out of the rules that have already been set, whether you like them or not. Now, people go, well, Brendan, in my area, though, you don't understand, like, we're in Hawaii. Okay, in Hawaii, I'm not saying you have to wear a suit. Wear the nicest Hawaiian outfit that you can that represents the common nice, like, if you were in Hawaii and it's 100% humidity, what would you wear if you were going to meet the mayor of whatever city or the governor, right? Or, gosh, let's just say, depending on your political views, the president. What would you wear to go meet with them? That's how I look at it. Because I want the people that I'm interviewing with to feel that special, that I took the time to make them realize that I care that much. All right. And then the last, invest in your vehicle, in your car. So if I had $500, I would do a number of things. Number one, remember, we're in a job where either you're driving or showing people around in your vehicle, or number two, you're pulling up to a house to list and they're looking out the blinds and they're checking you out, or when they walk out to say goodbye to you, they're seeing what you're driving off in, and if you didn't get the agreement signed, they're making some judgments based on that. Right? If you have a Honda Civic pulled up in the driveway with a realtor sticker on it, with the one tire with the spare tire, the little tiny tire on it, your bumper taped on with duct tape, and some fuzzy dice hanging from the rear view mirror, what do you expect? What do you think people are going to say? Well, Brendan, my mom told me that everyone should judge me for who I am and that I'm special and I'm an individual. I understand that. I'm not doing that. Do that on your time off. When you are at work, you are the presentation. What would you do for $1 million job interview? Every one of these clients is a daisy chain that leads to that. Or one client could be easily worth $1 million, if not in one transaction, 10, 15, 20 over time. Think about it. All right. So invest in your car. Now, if it's still taking a look at that, if your car is not nice enough to fix, try to figure out how to get a new car. Period. End of story. Number one mission. You're in this type of business. You're going, Brendan told me to go get a new car. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm telling you what I would do with $1,000. Okay. $250 on my look, $250 on my presentation, and $500 on my vehicle or enhancing my vehicle, depending upon the situation. You might need to rent a car for your first couple of listing presentations. Maybe that's how you use the $500. You might have to give someone $200 to borrow their car when you're working with a particular buyer. I've done all of that. All of it. I've borrowed vehicles, rented vehicles, all because I knew it was perception. And I'll give you one story here to kind of really tie this all together. I was working with a client. I think I was 23 or 24. I bought a Nissan Pathfinder, used Nissan Pathfinder. I thought it was sweet. And it had the steering wheel that had some sun damage on it. So it had one of those, like, I had bought one of these wrap things to cover up the sun damage. It had kind of like the little knobbies on it. And it was almost like fake wood grain color. I didn't give it much thought. I just thought it's better than the one that's sun damaged and tore up on my used Pathfinder. So I ended up going and meeting these clients through lead generating. It was I believe an expired call, and they ended up being a sell and a buy. So I'm taking them out to show homes. 1.7 on the sale, 2.5 million on the buy. Come to pick them up. This was prior to COVID and all these things. And they have them get in my vehicle. And the wife sits up front and the husband sits in the back. And we start driving for just a little bit. And she was like, she looks over and she goes, what's that thing on your steering wheel? And I go, oh, it's just a cover. It's actually because I drive so much. It's because my hands get really arthritis. I have arthritis in my hands. I'm just trying to BS whatever it is. I don't want to be like my steering wheel's all busted. But I remember feeling embarrassed. And I'm not saying that she was right or I was wrong. Let me finish the rest of the story, right? She could just tell that she was like, Ew. Now, they drove like a BMW 750. He had a Lexus, the big Lexus SUV as well. Super nice and, all detailed and waxed and all this. So not everybody's going to be like this. I'm just telling you, some people are. And so would it be easier to win over everybody? Do you think your friends that are broke, not friends, but the people that are broke are going to judge you anymore if you show up looking nice? Either if you show up nice and they're broke, they're going to go, wow, that's somebody that I want to aspire to and that obviously is doing quite well. Not aspire to, but that's doing quite well, so I feel comfortable investing with. Or if they're really doing well, they're going to go, he's on my level. She's on my level. Right? If you're, one of the amazing ladies out there selling real estate, then wear nice business suits, right? I mean, the whole thing is whether you're gentlemen, ladies, what we're trying to do is present ourselves in just those two words, ladies and gentlemen, not dude and girl, right? That's not the business we're in. So invest in your car. It'll obviously make a huge difference. Tie this whole thing together. Now, with the story, right, besides the steering wheel piece to finish out this whole thing. So we go to look at properties and I show them a really nice $2.4 million home. We get back in the car. Tom goes, what did you think about the house, dear? She goes, Tom, they have a Toyota Camry in their driveway. I'm just not really sure what we would be able to relate or talk to them about. Ooh, and I remember going, man, you are a judgy. I was like, wow. And Tom was pretty chill. He was like, oh dear. He was like, that's fine. He was like, I don't really care about that. That house was disqualified because of the car the seller owned. It could have been their daughter's car. And he eventually explained that. He goes, what if it's their daughter's car? She was like, no, I don't think it is. I don't even think anyone else lives there, but just the two of them. So I told you this video was going to make you uncomfortable. I told you we were going to talk about a few things that are going to be a little bit uncomfortable and maybe not PC, but I'm telling you what the world is and what I've experienced. Up your game, up your presentation, up your look, and up your vehicle. You are the product. If you do this, it's going to make life easier, business easier, and attract more sales and higher quality sales to your overall business. So, if you'd like more information on this, and again, I'd love to get your feedback and comments. I know I'm going to get some interesting comments on this one. I completely appreciate it. Remember, I told you, I'm just trying to explain what I've experienced. Let me know your thoughts. Check out our website, brendanbardick.com, to check out all of our coaching products, coaching courses, and as always, I wish you great success.